speaker, Reverend Dr. Marilyn Louise Leo. Marilyn has been a part of religious science since 1943. Her family lived next door to the Holmes family for a time. Ernest was very close with her father, Reginald Armour. It wasn't until the 1970s that she took classes and began to participate in the organization. She has written, compiled, or made available manuscripts for several books and magazines, Science of Mind, Creative Thought, and International New Thought Alliance. She has served in many capacities for United Church and is presently on the Hefferland Board, which contributes funds for ministerial students and other church and center support. She continues to serve as member emeritus for the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation that she founded. Marilyn is available and often participates in School of Spiritual Living classes and presents personal and family stories about Ernest and Hazel Holmes in person and through Zoom. She is the author of Mother of a Mystic in His Company, Ernest Holmes Remembered, and Chronicles of Religious Science, Volumes 1 and 2. She also compiled and edited the book Love and Law and contributed to Conversations with Ernest. And it's my great pleasure to have her with us today. So, Reverend Marilyn.
Thank you so very much. I need to get rid of a sign that's here in front of my face. There we are. It's a pleasure to be with here. I certainly enjoyed the music and your guided meditation. That was very lovely. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here with you on this Easter Sunday. I know that I was taught that you're supposed to start your talk with a joke or something funny, but I don't know any Easter Bunny jokes, so we will have to pass that. And I'll just get right down to it. And if I lean in too close, that's because I get excited. So I will try to stay back here. Okay. So today being Easter, I guess we're supposed to talk about the resurrection and the ascension of Jesus. And I just want to share with you my personal thoughts about these happenings. But first of all, I want to tell you that the one person that I know and knew very closely was my dad, Reginald Armour. And Pittsburgh to me is the only relationship I have with Pittsburgh at this time is that he was born there. That's where Reg Armour was born. He was very close to Ernest from the time he was 12 years old. And so our families were close throughout my life and throughout Ernest and Reg's. He wrote several books, Reg did, but I'm not going to go into his life at this time. So let's get to talking about We Will Live Forever, because that is the name of Ernest's last book, was You Will Live Forever. Now I know he wrote along with his brother, The Voice Celestial, but this is Ernest's book on his own, and it was published in 1960 after he passed on. I'm going to share you a reading from that at some point. Okay. So so what I want to talk about first is about upon the death of his father, Ernest's father, William Nelson Holmes. Ernest wrote I would call it an essay. It's a very small, tiny little book, and it's called Four Gleams of Eternal Life. And Ernest's mother wrote a foreword to that. And it seems that it was 1933 when Ernest's father, William, and another close friend both made their transitions. And a few months later, Ernest was moved to write this 4 Gleams of Eternal Life. I want to share with you that foreword. You'll find that in Mother of a Mystic and in other writings also, but I did include it in that book. And she writes, "Life is a school which all must attend. The same intelligence being in each, it is the task and high privilege of the individual to so develop his God-given powers that he shall not remain in kindergarten, but may, by practical use of the lessons learned in this grade, lessons of the need of manifesting love, joy, harmony, peace, and poise, and go on to each advancing grade, ever increasing in the knowledge and understanding of the one who is in all, over all, and through all, that the event called death shall be an open door to a grade beyond this plane, where he will continue to expand throughout all eternity." And that is the desire that we have for ourselves, I'm sure. I'm going to share with you my personal thoughts and about Jesus on the cross, and then about life and my proof in my mind that life never ends, that it continues on. So the meaning, I know you've all seen pictures of Jesus on the cross and the 2 men on crosses on either side of him. We are told that he said to the 2 men, other men that were being put on the cross to die, he said to them, "Be not afraid, for you will be with me in paradise." And then the next words that I have heard that he supposedly said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" I can't believe that those are the words he said, because he has just told about his faith that he will be in paradise. And I believe that Jesus was so filled with the inspiration and with the knowingness of who he truly was that he could not believe that God could forsake him. And I have read in places too that this was misinterpreted or mistranslated from the original words. But at any rate, I cannot believe that he said those things, because I don't think he ever thought that he was separated for 1 second from the essence of who he truly was. So with that, we move on to the resurrection. And I truly believe in the resurrection and the ascension. And I believe that the ascension, this is what Jesus made himself or his spirit available to Mary Magdalene and later to his disciples. And I feel certain that several of you have experienced a person who has passed on in your life and who has later come to speak to you, to show you that life continues in a different form, perhaps, but it continues. There is no end. So I want to tell you about a couple of personal experiences. One of mine was years after Hazel passed on. Hazel Holmes, Ernest's wife, passed on. That was in 1957. I was in bed, and it seems that I was awake, but who knows? I don't know. And I looked, and at the foot of my bed, Hazel is standing there, probably looking at me pathetically because of what I had gone through or whatever. And but she just stood there and looked at me and didn't say a word. The one that I truly remember so much and so carefully, so completely, was about my grandson. So let me tell you about that. Aaron was 16 years old. He lived in the mountains of Southern California, Brightwood, California, and which is a small community, but all the kids and teenagers, you know, they have lots of friends that they go to school with. At any rate, Aaron was with a friend and they had gone to a party, and they were on their way home over the dirt and the rocks, rocky roads and that. And the boy, the friend, had a truck, but it was so old it didn't have seat belts or any of the things that we require today. And so when the truck hit a rock or something, it flipped over and threw Aaron out the window of the truck. And the helicopters came to take him to the hospital and all that, but he did not live at all. He was DOA. So his mother asked me, and that's my daughter, asked me if I would do a service for he and his friends. And I said yes, that I would. Now, of course, I was told by friends, oh, you can't do that. You'll just break up. You can't do that. But I did. And my plan, it was to do that, to say some words of comfort to Aaron's friends and to his family. He had a sister, mother and father, and a sister. So what took place was that I didn't know what I was going to say at this service for my grandson. But we get ready for the usual. I'll read this and I'll talk about this, and we'll just see how that goes. But I knew teenagers, they want to cry and they want to express themselves and say how wonderful their friend was and all of that, because I was a chaplain in a hospital and experienced some of that with teenagers as their friends were in accidents. So I knew what to expect, kind of. I was in the shower that day, getting ready and you kind of going over, I think I'll read this or, do this. And all of a sudden, up here on my left, just above my head on the left side of the shower, is about this much of Aaron. His face is as clear to me today as it was that day. And he said, "It's okay, Grandma. You'll do great." And it was gone. It gave me peace and more of a conviction that life continues on. He was still there in spirit, but he was there. It was funny because later on I was thinking about, did my grandson see me naked? You never think of such things at the time, but later on, of course, those silly things come to you. So I just, I put it aside. But the ride up the mountain, then we lived pretty close, and the ride up the mountain then it was just a peaceful experience to go up there and the camp. My daughter and her husband, they managed a camp for children and adults, I guess. And Christine was, very young, and in charge of the kitchen, in charge of all the food and everything. Anyway, I've always been very proud of her in that service that she did. So anyway, the service went well. I don't remember what I said, what I talked about. I probably have something someplace that told me what I said. But the main thing was to allow the teenagers to be amongst themselves, and they brought guitars and drums and played music and expressed their feelings. And I think it was very comfortable for all of them. So the point of me to telling you my experience is my personal proof that life continues after we leave this physical body. And it's a body that serves us very well, hopefully very well, while we're here on earth. And it provides us with the ability to enjoy the beauty of nature with our eyes, the sounds and voices of our loved ones, and the smells and tastes of all that is around us, and our food that nourishes us while we're here. But who we are is much, much more. It is the tie to all of life, for we are all from the one infinite life, one universal truth, one singular song. Though we may look different with different experiences, see things from different perspectives, we are one. That is our diversity, but we are never divided. There is no division among us except that which we make for ourselves and create for ourselves. And just as we have different body types, we shall release this particular body at some point and allow spirit to express itself in another way, in another body, unlike the one that we have at this moment. I feel confident that this experience will be loving and beautiful. And if we believe, we choose that time that is best for us to leave this earth without fear. There is no reason to fear. Each day we have an opportunity while still here on earth to ascend higher. And this is my whole point, is that we have the opportunity to move in our capacity as humans, to move to a higher expression, to become more of who we were meant to be as an expression of our individual greatness. Ask yourself, what does God want me to do with my life? What is next? How can I express more of who I really am and more of who God made me to be? I don't think there are words that can express the innermost feelings that we have, the innermost knowing of who we are, where we came from, how we express ourselves, and how we express life itself. It is according to what we have experienced, of course, but it is most important that it is the God within, the God around, the God that is, the goodness that we have to experience and to express. That is what we are here for. However that shows up. I would like to close. I realize I'm probably a little bit short on this timing, but I can only say what I have in my heart to say. And one of the things that I want to share with you is from the book, You Will Live Forever. Actually, it is from the song Celestial, which is a very well-known poem. In fact, Ernest created some recordings, and one of the recordings is the song Celestial, and I have one, but I haven't listened to it recently. I think he is the one who's reading it. Song Celestial. These things are all available in the Science of Mind archives, and I am so happy and so proud that we have the archives, that we are preserving the history of Science of Mind. It is being experienced and expressed throughout the world. It has been for years, and it continues to be more and more so. I see people on television that say things that they must have read Science of Mind at some point. They must have studied it way back in the 60s when I was working with Kelly Services, which is a temporary, it was, I don't know if it still exists even, but it was a temporary employment for people. And I worked for them and jobs, and then I worked in their office. But they gave me a class that I needed to take to be able to work in the office. And it was called a sales office, so that I would be able to sell Kelly Services. And everything in that class was Science Mind, because our teachings are so universal. It's universal principles. It's not just, Ernest Holmes principles, and not at all. He studied people in the wise sages, shall we say, of the centuries before us, and he just brought it all together so that it was in words and ways that we could experience in our own life. So anyway, I would like to share with you the song Celestial, just a couple of phrases from it. Never the spirit was born, the spirit shall cease to be never. Never was time, it was not. End and beginning are dreams. Birthless and deathless and changeless remaineth the spirit forever. Death hath not touched it at all, dead though the house of it seems. Nay, but as one who layeth his worn out robes away, and taking new ones saith, these will I wear today. So putteth by the Spirit lightly its garb of flesh, and passeth to inherit a residence afresh. And if you would like me to read that again, only in our English, I can do that. But it is so meaningful to me, the way it is. And nay, no, but as one who lays his worn out robes away, this body, and taking new ones, these will I wear today. It's like changing clothes. So putteth by the Spirit lightly its garb of flesh, and pass to inherit a residence afresh. I'm sure that you understand every word of it. I think it's beautiful, and I truly believe that. And when we can come to a point of understanding that we're not going to experience this particular experience forever, but there are more places. As Jesus said, there are many mansions. My Father's house has many mansions, or whatever that quote is. I know you know what I'm talking about. There are many mansions, and so there are many experiences and I believe many, many lives. I do not believe in reincarnation. In other words, coming back, in this particular earthly life. That is not in me to believe that. But I do believe that there's things that are greater, wonderful experiences for us. And if we go there unafraid, but looking for the next opportunity, look for the next opportunity in your life today, in this life, and ascend to that higher level of experience. Thank you for today. And happy Easter.